Hello. So this is my final screencast talking about some of my favorite projects from this semester and going into some detail about my progress and development and journey throughout this semester in this course. So the three projects I want to highlight in this video is actually the Netiquette Project, the newsletter, and the classroom website. So we'll start off here with the Netiquette Project. Now, I have here this page in the portfolio where I'm just going to be kind of accessing the three projects. So I'm going to click here to view the Netiquette Project just so I have this up and in front of me. I worked on this with Mara, and it's one of the first projects we did this semester, pretty early on. So looking back through it, I'm very happy actually with how it turned out. I was happy at the time, and I still am. Um, and so we obviously used Padlet for this project, and I think that's the real reason that I enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of Padlet. I wasn't at first because of this layout. Can be a little weird to look at first. Can seem a little unorganized, but I've seen ways where people have made things that are extremely organized on here. And what I didn't realize is that there's actually different ways in which you can organize it. I don't think I can see it because I don't have editing here, but you can actually have it so that it's just like one column straight down. And there's a bunch of different options for how to organize these. And I think those options is what's really important to me. Obviously, you can color code everything. Um, it's very user friendly, and I'm a big fan. So beyond Padlet, we obviously use the internet, Google searches, and all these different websites that we have linked. For our research, we have YouTube videos linked, so obviously we used YouTube. And yeah, we used everything from Amazon or like this book site, which links Amazon Prime link of this book that we thought would be a great resource for teachers to be using. Um, we obviously have lesson plans here. We pulled different worksheets from places. We used the Brain Pop Junior website, and yeah, so tons of different resources in here. So I learned a lot from this, and there's a lot of it that's related to technology, but there's also a lot of it that's not. Um, I tend to be very, I tend to come to an opinion pretty quick on things like this, and I'm pretty stubborn, and it's hard to get me out of that mindset. And I had gotten into that mindset where I really didn't like Padlet at first. And normally for me, that would be kind of the end of it. I would do the project, I would do my best, I would get it done, but I wouldn't necessarily enjoy it. Um, for this project, in this class in general, I really wanted to try to come in with as much of an open mind as possible because technology is not my strong suit. And as we move more and more into a digital era, that's not an acceptable excuse anymore. And I've had this wonderful opportunity this semester to improve my technology skills, and I feel like I really had to jump on that. That's how I felt at the time. Is like I got to take advantage of this opportunity. Just because I don't like it, whatever, I can still learn useful things from this, and maybe I'll come out of here and I'll actually change my mind. And this time I really did. So the topic of Netiquette itself was very interesting. I'd actually never heard of it before. Um, and doing research on it, it's pretty straightforward how you're supposed to behave on the internet. Obviously, there's kind of unwritten rules that some of us have discovered over time, but students aren't going to know these for the most part. Young students aren't going to know these, and they're going to be exposed to technology more and more at an earlier and earlier age. And we need to make sure that they're equipped to deal with um, these different internet rules, and they need to be prepared for those who aren't and how to deal with those situations. And whether it be going down to our lesson plans here, whether it be a kindergarten classroom, a second grade classroom, a fourth grade classroom, um, there there are ways to developmentally appropriate ways to introduce this idea to students. And I think that's another great thing I got out of this was taking an idea of one general topic and making different grade level lesson plans on this same topic and just presenting it in different ways and in with different levels of difficulty so that this one topic can be applied to a multitude of different grade levels. So even though that isn't as technology related, I think that's still super important to know as a teacher and be able to do. And that's something else that this project brought me. So the second one that I wanted to talk about was this newsletter. Oh boy, I put so many hours into this thing, and I know that doesn't mean anything when you're looking at the overall quality and everything. You can put a lot of time into something and it still doesn't turn out great, but I am beyond happy with how this turned out. Um, I I'm astonished that this is even something you can create with Word. I use Word to create this, Microsoft Word, and I coming into this course, I didn't think Word was good for much else other than writing essays. And I loved it for that. It was a great. I loved it way more than like Google Docs or something. But I just did not expect to be able to do something like this with Word, and I didn't know it was possible. And then knowing it was possible and seeing the other examples, I looked at those and I was like, I am never going to be able to do that. When those bad, quote unquote, bad examples were presented, I was like, how am I even supposed to do that? Like, I was blown away by the work that other people had done, and at the same time, really taken aback because I had zero faith in myself, despite having, you know, um, done some other projects in the semester. Nothing compared to the difficulty that I saw this reaching. And I did put this project off for a period of time because I thought it was hopeless. I'm not going to be able to do this. And one day I just had to sit down and I was like, you know what? I got to stop making excuses. I got to sit down. I got to figure this out. Clearly, other people could do it. There's no reason why I can't do it too if I sit down for long enough and try to figure all of this out. And it really was a lesson in self discipline. And it took a lot of hours to figure these different things out, from the kind of glowing borders here to the not straight rigid lines to the softness of these pictures where the borders were softened, um, these different shapes, um, the tilting of the text boxes, um, implementing a QR code, creating this entire calendar and color coding it, um, implementing a background like this that um, fades in and out and shades to try to fit the mood of like a springtime theme. All of these things took so long, and most of them weren't discovered on purpose. They were just me trying to find resources to make this look better because I didn't like how it looked, and I wanted to find a way to improve it, but I didn't know how. So it was a lot of exploring. And I think I too quickly tend to turn to somebody else for help in situations where I don't know what to do. And while it's good to use your resources, it's also important to think for yourself. And this project really helped me think for myself and not immediately go to someone for help, but to try to just do things on my own. Not to say I don't do things on my own, you know, outside of this, but um, when something this presented a real challenge to me, and instead of going to somebody for help, I wanted to prove to myself that I could overcome that, and I think I did with this. And yeah, um, obviously I use the snipping tool, which is one of the greatest things I've ever used in my entire life on a computer. That's an absolutely fantastic tool that I'll be using for the rest of my life. So I use that and Word, and just Google searches, Google image searches to kind of create this whole thing. So moving on here, because I'm almost 10 minutes into my screencast recording, and I don't have the paid version. So the final thing was the classroom website, and I have the video introducing my classroom website, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. I will open it up here. Um, but again, this is something where I put a ton of time into it. And as I said, that doesn't mean anything, but I think that time was well spent. And I'm very happy with the final project that I ended up with. So obviously I have all these different pages, all these different backgrounds and everything. I actually found that the backgrounds that they provided worked a lot better than backgrounds I found from Google. I tried to get other backgrounds, but they just tend to not shade very well, and it made it so that the letters were very difficult to read, and I felt like I could sacrifice a little bit of that, um, creativity theme from Google for readability. Um, so yeah, I think the classrooms project page is the most exciting thing for me. This is a page I want to have filled when I'm, have a classroom of my own. I want to be doing tons of things with my students and tons of exciting things that we want to share with families. And this is definitely one of those. So I have to use Google Sites for this. I briefly explored Wix, trying to create a website through there, but I tended to like Google Sites better. It seemed to be more user friendly and just design wise, I liked it better. So I did experiment with both. I did try to challenge myself there, but I ultimately went with Google Sites. Um, it's one of my favorite projects because I'm going to be using the same with the newsletter. These are two things where I am really going to be doing these, like this same thing, this same almost sort of thing in a classroom. I don't have to be in a classroom to know that this is all going to be extremely, extremely useful. It's harder to visualize things in some other classes being useful, even though I know they are going to be. But this, I can look at this and be like, this is how I want my actual classroom website to look like. It's like almost like designing your classroom itself. Like it's as close as we're gonna get right now. It makes it feel real and it makes me feel excited. Um, I love that. Um, I learned a ton about, just creating a website in general. I knew nothing about it. What did I learn from this? I learned everything. I didn't know how to embed an image. I barely knew I could make a text box, type some things, and paste a picture in, but that's about it. Any of this formatting and stuff like that, um, it's not intuitive on Google Sites. I think that's one of the weaker things about the site is the formatting itself is not intuitive and it's not unlimited options. It's not like the tight setting for an image on Word. It doesn't have something like that. So I didn't feel like it was very intuitive, but once you got used to it, I liked it a lot. Um, so now, just for these last couple minutes, I just want to talk about what I learned about myself and my journey in self-discovery. And that was that if I have faith in myself, I can be more resilient than I give myself credit for. Um, I gave myself 0 credit at the beginning of this semester, and in all fairness, I didn't know how to do much involving technology. But I was kind of I was on the edge of setting myself up for failure by telling myself I couldn't do it before I even gave it a shot. And um, throughout the semester, it was a fight to try to make myself believe that I could do this. And it was kind of that belief that I found in myself that, you know, allowed me to do this. And um, had I kept that same mindset that I had on the first day, I wouldn't have been successful in this course and I wouldn't have created the things that I did um, as well as I did, and I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as I did. Um, I know so much more than I did coming in. I can't even begin to explain how low my level of knowledge was with this thing up until this course. Um, to tell you what I've learned, it's basically everything that we've done has been new to me, and I love it. I can't wait to use this stuff in my with my actual classroom, my actual students. Um, it's all really exciting. So that is my final screencast here. I'm in my last couple seconds. So thank you for an awesome year. This has been a ton of fun.